prove nothing but a Bible and a bicycle.
Shalom, everyone. The other day, a person who goes to a Christian church, and thus, I presume, think of themselves as a believer, came to my door and posed a question to me. It went something like this. In the Bible, it mentions that when Jesus was crucified, there was an eclipse and the temple curtain was torn in half. If these things really did occur, and there was a crucifixion, then why is there no mention of it at all in the Talmud? And that got me to thinking. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and often controversial topic, Yeshua in the Talmud. Now, this discussion is going to take us through some deep waters, but I promise to keep it casual, engaging, and balanced. We're going to explore both sides of the argument, whether or not the Talmud actually mentions Yeshua, and by the end, we'll arrive at a conclusion based on the evidence. First, let's address the elephant in the room, the relative silence of the Talmud on Yeshua. Why doesn't this massive collection of Jewish legal and rabbinic discussions talk more about him? There are a few key reasons. 1. The Talmud is focused on Jewish law. It's not a history book. The rabbis who compiled it were more interested in Jewish customs and legal discussions than in documenting religious figures outside of Judaism. 2. Crucifixion was a Roman punishment. Since execution by crucifixion was a Roman practice, it wouldn't have been a major topic of Jewish legal discussion. 3. Yeshua was not accepted as the Messiah in Judaism. To the Jewish sages, he was a controversial figure, and engaging with him too much could be seen as validating his claims. And 4. Censorship. Over the centuries, many references to Yeshua were altered or removed due to pressure from Christian authorities. Despite these reasons, there are still several passages that scholars argue reference Yeshua. The most famous one comes from the Babylonian Talmud, Sanhedrin 43a. On the eve of Passover, Yeshua was hanged. For 40 days before the execution, a herald went out crying, "He's been let out for stoning because he practiced sorcery and led Israel astray." But nothing was brought forward in his defense, so he was hanged on the eve of Passover. Now let's break this down. The phrase hanged was often a euphemism for crucifixion. See Acts 5:30 and Galatians 3:13. The timing aligns with the gospel accounts. Yeshua was crucified during Passover. The charge of sorcery mirrors accusations in the Gospels where Yeshua was said to cast out demons, and some accused him of doing it by the power of Beelzebub. Matthew 12:24. This passage alone strongly suggests that the rabbis were aware of Yeshua and his execution. But some scholars argue that these references are not historical, but rather polemical. meaning they were written to mock or counter Christian claims. Some scholars push back against the ideal that the Talmud references Yeshua, arguing that the timing in different passages does not match his historical life. The name Yeshu, or Yeshua Ha-Natsari, could refer to multiple figures. The lack of consistency in descriptions suggests these stories may be Jewish responses to Christianity rather than historical records. But even with these objections, it's clear that many rabbis were engaging with Yeshua's story in some form. What's fascinating is that despite its critical stance, the Talmud actually provides important confirmation of Yeshua as a real historical figure. Think about it. The Jewish leaders of the time had every reason to erase Yeshua's existence. Yet they didn't. This suggests they couldn't deny that he existed. The Talmud's reference to his execution under Roman authority aligns both with Christian and secular historical records. The accusations of sorcery inadvertently acknowledges that he performed miracles, even if the interpretation was different. After weighing both sides, the strongest conclusion we can reach is this. The Talmud does mention Yeshua, even if those references are not always clear or consistent. It confirms that he was a historical figure. It affirms that he was executed by the Romans, while the Jewish priest in power at the time played a role in his arrest. Even in opposition, history has a way of preserving the truth. The Talmud, despite its biases, ends up supporting what the Gospels already tell us, that Yeshua was a real person who was crucified under Roman rule at the arguing of the religious authorities. In the end, the thing that concerns me most about this subject of whether the Talmud mentions Yeshua or not is the motivation behind the question, especially if you profess that you are a believer. And that, my friends, is something worth thinking about. Thank you for joining me here today, my friends, my family. Until next time, remember, Yeshua loves you. Now get off of here, go ride your bike, and read your Bible. Thank you for listening, and Shalom.